mental, talking about mental disorder and opening the heart chakra. And, I mean, look, in one way or another, every human being has some kind of mental and emotional disorder. People have minds that don't shut up. They have emotions that are, we say, like quicksand, and they are servants to these things, to these energies that are chaotic inside them. And these energies that take over and often cause depression and deep unhappiness and, keep us from functioning at the highest level that we can function as human beings. They talk about mental disorder and people being schizophrenic and this and that and the other. And I mean, it gets down to a very basic reality. People don't have training. They don't know how to keep their mind focused. They don't know how to keep their hearts open. They don't have the strength inside to do those things because they haven't worked on themselves long enough to make it a possibility. So it's really not, we're all crazy. It's just that we need basic training. We need to learn how to do it. And we need to make the effort inside, the need inside us has to be so great that we will do whatever is necessary to learn how to get past ourselves. Because we are the problem. It's not some external political or economic thing or relationship thing that people are involved in. It's the lack of training, the discipline inside themselves, so that they are so balanced inside and centered inside, they can deal with anything. And they can deal with themselves. The hardest thing to deal with is oneself. To be centered, to be grounded, to be open inside. And, and enabling ourselves to be able to live that way. Because doing what I'm talking about enables the heart to open. When the heart opens, all the tension in the head can flow down. And we can truly, get past this so-called mental disorder that we think we live with. So it's not really mental disorder. It's basically a lack of training. We don't have the inner strength to be able to deal with our problems. And once we develop that inner, Dan, I don't know what you're doing, but you have a light that's going on and off. It's disturbing the class. I mean, if it continues, I'm just going to remove you, it's just having that capacity inside to truly, deal with ourselves. And that takes training. I mean, look, before I met Rudy, I was so whacked out, and I really mean this. I was so whacked out. I was so insecure. I had so many mental problems and emotional problems, and I didn't know what to do about them. All I would do about them is say, okay, at some point, the depression will come to an end, and I'll have some moment of release from it. And that's how I used to deal with it. And then after I met Rudy and I learned this technique of inner work, yes, for a certain period of time, I still had depression and emotional things and all kinds of stuff like that. But slowly but gradually, they went away. I got centered. I could keep my heart open. I could keep my mind quiet. I got the basic training in how to live my life and how to deal with the unhappiness, the problems, the depression. And it took time. It wasn't easy. And I remember one day, I've said this a million times. Rudy said to me, he said, I'll never take another student. He said, you're too messed up. And I said, well, okay, I made the cut. Thank God for that. Then 10 minutes later, he said, the only reason I keep you around me is to remind me of Nityananda when he was a young man. He told me this, and one thing after the other. So, it was getting the training. It was willing to endure myself. to the point where I knew that if I didn't get that training, I would never, ever overcome the unhappiness and the depression I used to feel. And it takes time. We have to have patience. We have to have the willingness to literally survive ourselves and to trust. The energy of these classes is so powerful that people need to go deep inside in order to truly benefit from these classes. You've got to go really deep inside yourself. You've got to take advantage of what the universe has put in your life. Otherwise, it's just stupid, if you don't take advantage of it and get the training. And eventually you get to a place where you get to kind of like yourself. You're okay. Your life is worth living. Your life, you being a happy person is one of the great treasures that the world can offer you. And you begin to learn to have your self-worth. To feel that inside yourself. But it takes time. I mean, one of the things I never forget, Rudy said, and I'll never forget this. So it takes 9 months to have a baby. If you have a baby in 6 months, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's called a miscarriage. It takes 1 second to die. I mean, when he said that to me, it went so deep inside me. And I said, Stuart, you've got to have patience. You've got to have patience. You're giving birth to yourself. And it takes time. And this work is about 2, 3 steps forward, 1, 2 steps back. And the problem is when we take that 1, 2 steps back, we get so caught up. Oh my God, I'm falling apart. We don't just recognize, hey, I'm 1 step ahead. I'm 2 steps ahead. Why identify with the negative? Why identify with what will kill us, what will destroy us as human beings? And have patience. It comes. I can tell you it comes. I know. And as I always say, not because I read about this in a book somewhere, I didn't. Because it came into my life. And it came because of the training I got, the willingness to use what I was given, this miracle that I was given, to be able to serve a higher energy in the universe. Unconditionally. The me began to disappear. The who I am and what I am, and it's all bullshit. One day we're all nothing, What's important is the connection with spirit that enables us to get grounded, to stay quiet, to keep our hearts open, to have love inside us, to be kind to people that are in our lives, to be compassionate, when we see other people suffering, and to live that way. It's the greatest gift that we can be offered. But it takes time, takes training. And in that training, you're going to go 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step, 2 steps back. But you're always a step ahead. You're learning how to train the mind. You're learning how to keep the heart open. You're learning how to use your sexual energy, in a way where it activates Kundalini, the pathway to God. You're learning how to use the exact things that are killing a human being. Tension, emotion, mental, insanity, sexual energy, the exact things that drive everybody crazy. You're learning how to use them to give you a spiritual life. And the reason they drive everybody crazy, people are not strong enough to use them consciously. So they make everybody crazy. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? I hope what I'm talking about is clear because it's really important. The first step in any kind of spiritual practice is one's humanity. And one will never develop their humanity if they're prey to all of those tensions inside. When you master those tensions, you begin to glow like a 1,000,000-watt light bulb, I mean, your heart is open, there's love, it's a whole different human being you're living with. And I know, frankly, I made the choice. I'd rather live with that person, because, than live with all that crap that used to run around inside me, that unhappiness that used to take over. But it took time, it took training. It took really working on myself. It took taking upon myself impossible situations and making them work and learning how to transform them into energy that helped me grow spiritually. And yeah, you can complain. I mean, look, never knew anybody who complained as much as Rudy, frankly. I listened to more complaints from Rudy, but I realized the guy was under so much pressure. He had so much going on. He was like Shiva with 90 arms, And his complaints was just a way of getting rid of the tension. And I remember sitting there one day, and then I said, Stuart, no, it's just Shakti. Take it in. It's just Shakti. Let it come in the form of complaints. I mean, this man has saved your life. You can listen to his complaints. I mean, really, changed me. It taught me how to deal with people in a very different way. And there were complaints, and 10 minutes later, he was hugging me and giving me meditation classes. And, I mean, it was extraordinary education. Does anyone have a question? Like to ask? And don't have to be perfect. That is insanity. This thing in every human being that's just, they got to be perfect in whatever they do. Make mistakes. It's all right. Learn from them. Mistakes are not mistakes. They're just opportunities to learn. And don't have to be perfect at what you do in life because that is real insanity. God is perfect. The rest of us just, bumble along trying to get closer and closer to that perfection. And that's what growth is all about, bumbling along, getting closer to that perfection. And understanding, as human beings, we will never be perfect. The best we can do is grow every day, open every day, develop ourselves every day, and get closer and closer to that perfection. And never beating ourselves up because we're not perfect. We made a mistake. Does anyone have a question? I must have just answered everybody's questions. Okay, well, thank you and God bless you all. I tell you, I say it every time, you're probably sick of hearing it, but your presence here really helps me to grow. It really demands that I go deep in myself. And it really it's up to me to find a place for everyone that comes to these classes in my heart. Because all of you are giving me the opportunity to attain a state of enlightenment in this lifetime. And God bless you all. Thank you for making me work on myself as hard as I do. You know, these classes really demand that. And I couldn't have anything appreciation for that. So bless you all. Thank you. And there'll be class on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. And try to take this home with you. But you're all home. Try to take this with you wherever you go. Try to take all this stuff with you. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Right.